Huzzah, and welcome, future and current artists, to another episode of Drawing with Dr. Doodle. Well, before we begin, you're only going to need 2 items. Hopefully you have these, a piece of paper and a pencil. Now, if you want to color your work in when we're done and you have a crayon or a colored pencil or markers, you can color it in when we finish today. However, if you don't have those supplies right now, you can always wait to color your work in when you get those supplies. So you know what? Let's begin. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Drawing with Dr. Doodle, a special episode because as you just saw, I'm sharing with you an example of 2 characters of mine, and you're going to be able to walk through the same steps of drawing them. They're wearing different types of penguin pajamas, and in this world of Penguin Mansion, where they come from, it's from my own head, my own imagination, the pajamas are alive. They are their dream guides. A dream guide is just, in this world, a imaginary character that helps guide the person who's wearing them in their dreams. So what I would suggest you do is, if you would like to, you can follow along. I'm drawing this on my iPad, and it's a digital drawing, so that's how I'm able to make the changes that I'm able to do. But if you have to draw, if you're unable to draw on a digital device because you don't have it, or you're not allowed to use your parents, then you are more than welcome to follow along drawing on a piece of paper. If at any point while I'm drawing this you get frustrated or lose track, just pause the video. You can scrub the timeline and find wherever it is that you need to pause the video to keep up. Now, as you can see, I decided to draw some of the details here along with the basics, just because I wanted to. This is a redesign of a character of mine. Some of you might have seen this character. His name is Jake. His dream guide, his penguin pajama dream guide, is named Lucas. Lucas comes from Lucian, which means light, so he's his guiding light. Now, Jake is based off of one of my cousins, my youngest cousin actually, who at the time that I was creating this was, I want to say, in middle school, maybe even middle school at the time, and now he's all grown up. He's in his 20s. Anyway, as you can see, along with doing the details, I start first with some basic shapes, and I roughly sketch out where I want everything to go before I ink it in. Now, this is all going to be scrapped or erased because this drawing, while nice, wasn't in the direction that I wanted the redesign of the character to go. So you'll see them just laying out the basic shapes, the locations of where the legs and how the legs are going to be, and the feet and all that. With regards to these characters, they use more basic shapes, more roundish shapes, and this is a brother and sister duo, or I think that these are actually supposed to be cousins. It's been a while, and that line down the center will help me. It's a guideline. It guides me to where I want the nose and the eyes to go. And now I'm starting to add the details. So what I want to say to you is, if you follow along, or if you don't, I would love to see how you would draw yourself in this style, or somebody that you know in this style, and then I would love to see what dream guide pajamas you would give them. Within Penguin Mansion, I give myself a limit, something like, with regards to what animals I use. I only use animals that live in or around the water when I am designing the dream guide. So you can do that, or it could be any kind of animal that you want. But I would love to see what kind of animal dream guide you would give yourself or somebody else that you would know. Now, as you can see here, I've got most of the details. I am going to take away the glasses from Jake's cousin, over here, but I believe I'm going to keep the hair. And now I'm going to start inking it in. So inking in is just when you use any type of inking pen, in this case digital, to trace over the pencil lines. And then hopefully, if you didn't draw your pencil lines too dark, you can erase, and then magically your work will look very clean. So as you can see here, inking in all of Jake's lines, or any lines that are connected to Jake. And there's some lines that are a little bit darker and thicker, and some that are thinner. Here's the rule of thumb that I use, and helps to pop out your work if you're inking it in. What you'll want to do is the thicker lines should always be with objects that are overlapping or going on top of other lines. So in the case of Jake's large ears, they're overlapping his hat, or Lucas's head, and his cousin's face. So that's why it's thicker when it's overlapping those objects, and thinner when it's not. So they both are smiling, they're both happy. You can see that Jake's eyes are looking up towards his older cousin. And if you haven't noticed already, Jake's hands are covered by Lucas's pajama sleeves, and that was done on purpose. I did that to create the illusion of penguin flippers. I hope that is kind of apparent. But in the case of his cousin, I made it so that way just two of the fingers were out, so that way it creates the illusion that it's still a flipper, but we can see what his cousin is doing, which is waving. And you can see that the cousin's dream guide is a different type of penguin. And once I'm done adding the rest of the details, that's when I'm going to start coloring in. And there you go. So if I remember correctly, I was using a digital watercolor. So it creates the illusion of watercolor. I love watercolor painting. If you have watercolors at home, you can color in your work using watercolors. Just know that if you don't have watercolor paper and use too much water, or you continue to paint on your paper in one spot, you can rip the paper. So we've got a purple penguin, a blue penguin, and these are the flat colors. But because it's digital watercolor, it creates a kind of nice illusion of almost like three-dimensional. It's kind of popping out. So now I'm coloring in her hair and erasing any part that I color in his hair, any part that's not a part of his hair, her face, his face, erasing in the eyes. Wherever I color in that's not supposed to be colored in, I erase it. And we've got her eye colors and her pupils, the black of the eyes. Now, Jake's eyes. So again, I hope this inspires you, motivates you to come up with your own characters, hopefully drawn in the same style, or maybe draw it in your own style. And now I'm starting to do the shadows. And if you've noticed, the shadows in all of my work are not done using blacks. When you use black as your shadow, you flatten it. It doesn't look three-dimensional, it looks two-dimensional. So use a darker version of the color that you have already. So the purple shadow, the shadows on the purple penguin pajamas are darker purple, darker blue on Lucas. And as you can see, my Jake's ear doesn't look realistic. It almost looks like a monkey, and that's okay because that's called a style. This is my own style. It's a way to make your work be unique. So add your own flair, your own style to your work, especially ones that you come up with yourself, so that way it stands out as your own. Now I'm just adding the rest of the shadows underneath them, and I hope that you enjoyed this lesson today. And I can't wait to see what you come up with after this. As an artist, it's a good idea to take a break from your work. Taking a break allows us to look at our work with fresh eyes and possibly with some new ideas. So that's why we're going to take a puzzle break. And what type of puzzles are we going to do on Drawing with Dr. Doodle? Well, we're going to tackle puzzles that I love to do. They're called Rebus Puzzles. Rebus is spelled R-E-B-U-S. And what is a Rebus puzzle? Well, I'm glad you asked. Behind me is an example of just one, and we're going to walk through the solution to this puzzle right now. So what word do you see behind me? Well, take your time. If you guessed the word behind me is hurry, then you're half right. What direction is the word hurry going in? Well, take some more time to solve that. Well, if you guess that the word hurry is going up, then you have half of the solution as well. So let's combine the two half answers or half solutions that we solved together. Hurry, so we've got the word hurry, and the word hurry is going up. And if you heard me just say that and it clicked in your head that the answer is hurry up, then you have solved this rebus. So with that out of the way, why don't you try to solve this puzzle by yourself, but you don't need to hurry up to solve this puzzle. Take your time, and if you get your parents' permission, you can email the solution to thedoodledoctor@gmail.com. Now let's get back to the lesson.
Now it's time for me, Harold, the extremely talented art critic, to critique your artwork.
Wait, what?
Don't
I didn't
worry,
agree
Dr.
to this.
D. I won't be too harsh.
Why, thank you. What?
Okay,
Wait.
fellow art detectives, let's get critiquing. What do you see? What do you think is happening in this artwork? What materials do you think the artist used to make this artwork? Does this remind you of anything? What questions do you have about the artwork? Pretend you can enter into the artwork. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you hear? What piece of the artwork is your favorite, and why? If you could change one thing about this artwork, what would you change? How does this artwork make you feel? Can you explain why? If you had to describe this artwork to a friend, what kind of words would you use? So, Dr. D, was that so hard now?
It wasn't hard at all, Harold. Thank you.
Is how hard I will critique him next time.
Until next time, future and current artists, that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed creating art with me and that I've inspired you to create as imaginative artwork in the future. If you'd like to have your work displayed on a future episode, obviously you need your parents' permission, but once you get it, you can email your artwork at thedoodledoctor@gmail.com. Well, bye.